Hare Krishna. Today we'll be discussing the explanation of Srimad Bhagavad-Gita chapter 2, text 40. In this endeavor there is no loss, diminution, and little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Activity in Krishna consciousness or acting for the benefit of Krishna consciousness without expectation of a sense gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such an activity find no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on the material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has the permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at loss, even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears the permanent results, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%, whereas in material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. Ajamila performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100% by the grace of the Lord. There is a nice verse in this connection in Srimad Bhagavatam. If someone gives up a self-gratificatory pursuits and work in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part, and what can one gain if one performs his material activity perfectly? Or as the Christians say, what profiteth a man if he gain the whole world, yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? Material activities and their results end with the body, but work in Krishna consciousness carries the person again to the Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At last, one is sure to have a chance in the next life, or being born again as a human being, either in the family of a great cultured Brahmana or in the rich aristocratic family, that will give one further chance for elevation. That is the unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. Text 41. Translation. Those who are on this path are resolute in the purpose, and their aim is one, O beloved child of Kurus. The intelligence of these who are irresolute is many branched. A strong faith in Krishna consciousness that one should be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyasatmika intelligence. Chaitanya Charitamrita it says, faith means unflinching truth to something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not to act in relationship to the eternal material world with obligations to a family traditions, humanity or nationality. Fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of a material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on the knowledge Vasudeva Sarvam iti Samahatma Sudarlabha, by which one comes to know perfectly that Vasudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As water on the root of a tree is automatically distributed to the leaves and branches, in Krishna consciousness one can render the highest service in everyone, namely self, family, society, country, and humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. Service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practiced under the able guidance of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of the student and who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. As such, to be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and one should accept the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Srila Viswanatha Chakravarti Thakura instructs us in his famous praise of the spiritual master as follows. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes satisfied, and by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna Consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day and offer my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master. The whole process, however, depends on a perfect knowledge of a soul beyond the conception of the body, not theoretically but practically. When there is no longer chance of a sense gratification manifested in a fruitive activities, one who is not firmly fixed in the mind is diverted by various types of fruitive acts. Text 42 and 43 translation. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of a sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. People in general are not very intelligent, and due to their ignorance, they are most attached to the fruitive activities recommended in the Karma Kanda portions of the Vedas. They don't want anything more than sense gratification proposals for enjoying life in heaven, where wine and women are available and material opulence is very common. In the Vedas, many sacrifices are recommended for the elevation of heavenly planets, especially the Jyotisotma sacrifices. In fact, it is stated that anyone desiring elevation to heavenly planets must perform these sacrifices, and men with a poor fund of knowledge think that this is the whole purpose of Vedic wisdom. It is very difficult for such an inexperienced persons to be situated in a determined action of Krishna consciousness, as fools are attached to the flowers of the poisonous trees without knowing the results of such attraction. Similarly, unenlightened men are attracted by such heavenly opulence and the sense of enjoyment thereof. In the Karmakanda section of the Vedas, it is said that those who perform the 4 monthly penances become eligible to drink the samarasa beverages to become immortal and happy forever. Even on this earth, some are very eager to have samarasa to become strong, fit to enjoy sense gratification. Such persons have no faith in liberation from a material bondage, and they are very much attached to the pompous ceremonies of Vedic sacrifices. They are generally sensual, and they do not want anything other than the heavenly pleasures of a life. It is understood that there are gardens called Nandakanaka, in which there is a good opportunity for association with angelic, beautiful women and having a profound supply of a samarasa wine. Such bodily happiness is certainly sensual. Therefore, there are those who are purely attached to material temporary happiness as Lord of the material world. Text 44 explanation. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such thing, the resolute determination of a devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Samadhi means fixed mind. The Vedic dictionary in Nirukruti says, when the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is called samadhi. Samadhi is never possible for persons interested in material sense of enjoyment, nor for those who are bewildered by such temporary things. They are more or less condemned by the process of a material energy. Text 45 translation. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the 3 modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna, be transcendental to all of them. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. All material activities involve action and reactions in the 3 modes of material nature. They are meant for fruitive results which cause bondage in the material world. The Vedas deal mostly with fruitive activities to gradually elevate the general public from the field of sense gratification to a position on a transcendental plane. Arjuna, as a student and a friend of Lord Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of a Vedanta philosophy, where in the beginning there is a Brahma Jijnasa, or questions on the supreme transcendental transcendence. All the living entities who are in the material world are struggling very hard for existence. For them, the Lord, after creation of a material world, gave the Vedic wisdom advising how to live and get rid of this material entanglement. When the activities for sense gratification, namely Karma Kanda chapter, are finished, then the chance of spiritual realization is offered in the form of the Upanishads, which are part of a different Vedas. As the Bhagavad-Gita is a part of the fifth Veda, namely Mahabharata, the Upanishad marks the beginning of a transcendental life. As long as the material body exists, there are actions and reactions in the material modes. One has to learn to tolerate in the face of dualities such as happiness and distress, or cold and warm, and by tolerating such dualities, one becomes free from anxieties regarding gain or loss. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness when one is fully dependent on the goodwill of Krishna. That concludes the explanation of 46th text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, second chapter. Thank you very much. Keep listening.